Hey everybody, it's Justin here, aka Demonic Sweaters. Today I have another Linux music type video thing, tutorial, I guess. What I'm doing here is actually going to start recording some music, basically from scratch, and show you guys kind of the process that I've been using on the last probably 3 or 4 songs that I've done. Let me just show you what I have on my desk here, which is a MIDI controller. I have the MIDI Plus Mini Control controller. It's 32 key MIDI controller that has real physical tactile pitch and modulation wheels, which I like a lot. And it also has some, some pads up here, the finger drumming pads, which I don't really use those that much, occasionally. It also has 4 knobs right here, and then a volume slider. A couple other features that I don't use that often. There's like a built-in arpeggiator, and it does have octave setting, which I use that quite a bit. And a couple other things. But honestly, I don't really use the arpeggiator and the scales and all that stuff in there very much, if at all, to be honest. Well, I think I've used the arpeggiator a couple of times, but I usually do that in the software that I'm using. But today what I'm going to be doing, and what I've been doing here recently, is actually, yes, I'm using MIDI, but I'm not actually recording MIDI into Reaper. I've been kind of doing this weird combination of audio loops and using sound fonts and basically just recording them as audio and creating loops within Reaper. So I'm going to show you how I do that because I think it's pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of ways you could do this, but the way I'm going to be doing it is within Linux here. I'm going to use a program called Qsynth. Well, it's actually Qsynth. Qsynth itself is a sound font player, and it runs via the command line. But Qsynth is essentially just a graphical interface to Qsynth. Now, there's some advantages to using Qsynth versus the command line, but there's also some advantages to the command line too. But I'll save that for another video. Because it is pretty cool to use Qsynth through the command line as well. But for now, I would say generally I prefer to use Qsynth just because I think it's faster to work, basically. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So what you're going to need to do this are some sound fonts. And I have a lot of those that you can download. I'll post a link down below. And I'll also post a link to this MIDI controller because I think this one is pretty nice if you want to pick one of these up. But you'll need some sound fonts, and what I'm going to do first here is show you what I have loaded, which is a Casio CT370. So I already have one loaded here, but what I'm going to do is actually load up another one so you guys can see it. And you can do that all through one instance of Qsynth. Now, Qsynth, I'm not running through Reaper. I'm running it separately. I'm running it basically in the desktop, and it's connected through Jack, which Reaper is connecting through Jack. Jack is my audio driver over here, and this is where I can make all my connections. So I'm essentially using it like it's a hardware synth that's not, part of Reaper at all, and it's not a plugin of Reaper or anything. I'm just going to use it standalone. So let's go ahead and click this little plus symbol down here, and I'm going to load in another one. So we can actually change the name of it right here. So I'm going to call this one CTK. I believe it's 270. And then if I go here to sound fonts, click open, I'll go into my sound fonts folder, which I have in here. And in here I have my Casio, 230, not 270, but whatever, I can change that. So if we go over here to Jack, to audio tab within the Qsynth setup, this is actually pretty important too. I'm going to change the name here as well. And here I'll put it in correctly. CTK 230, and then let's go back here and change it as well. Not as important up here, actually. And you'll see why this matters. So we have that in there, and it's loaded up. Now I click OK. It's going to tell me it needs to restart the audio. Oh, maybe it didn't. Okay, sometimes it'll tell you need to restart the audio engine, but that time it didn't. So right now I have two Casio synths loaded in here. I have the CT370 and the CTK230. And I'm going to try to work with just those two. They should both have plenty of sounds in them for me to use. So let's check out MIDI connections. Oh wait, did I do that right on this one? I forgot to go over that. So let's go back to setup here. And under enable MIDI, I'm going to change this to jack. Now you could use the ALSA sequencer if you want, but I'm going to keep that at jack. So let's go ahead and click OK. Oh yeah, see now it's going to tell me to restart it. So now I've restarted. But if we go here to my MIDI tab, now see where I named it in this setup audio section right here. Honestly, this should be under MIDI, but it's under audio, but jack client name ID. Now that shows up here in the MIDI section as whatever you name it. So if I were to change this to something else, it would show up there. If you don't, you'll just end up with like Qsynth 1, Qsynth 2, Qsynth 3, and it gets really confusing to remember which is which. So it's a good idea to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to disconnect this one real quick. And then I'm going to just connect my CTK 230. And that's it right there. Got the piano. So if I want to change the sound, what I could do now is go here to channels. And it's already on MIDI channel 1. So all I have to do to change this one, you know, because that's what my MIDI controller is using. I mean, true, I could, if I had a MIDI controller that was easily able to change the channel, I could just do that. This one isn't that easy. You need software to do it. So what I'm going to do is just double click this. And now I get my full list of sounds in this sound font. So I'm going to find a bass here, or something low pitched that I can use for a bass. And let's check out this slap bass here. Very Seinfeldy. Yeah, I'm not going to go with that. Let's find something else. Tuba. Oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I'll use that for my bass. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is think of a BPM that I want to do. How fast should I make this one? 140? Okay, let's try that. Make sure this is all working. Now my version of Reaper is a little bit older than some of you out there, I'm sure. I had a 6.83 because that's the one I bought and I never upgraded. So I just keep using that one. But this is the Linux native version. I'm not running Windows, and I'm not running Wine or anything at all. Everything's 100% pure Linux here. So I'm going to right click my metronome. This is something I always do because I never find the click to be loud enough in Reaper. So I just raised those two faders up a bit and now it'll be louder. Okay, now it's plenty loud. Okay, and I'm going to change the time signature too. Let's do 7, 8. What's this sound like? Okay, I like playing in 7. All right, let's see if I can come up with a bass part. So let's just go ahead and play this. First thing I played, but I think I'm going to go with that. Okay. Let's see if I can remember it. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to record it. Let's add a track. And then I'm going to go input stereo. And it sounds weird because my mic is going in there, but I have Qsynth. Well, here's what I can do. Sorry, I was thinking I was using hardware for a second there, but I'm not. Let's disconnect my mic. So we go over to the audio tab. I'm going to disconnect my mic from Reaper. Disconnect that. Also going to disconnect there because I don't need that. And then now what I'm going to do is select my CTK 230 and connect that to 1 and 2 in Reaper. Okay, and now, yeah, there we go. So now we have a level. So let me go ahead and record that. Okay, so I think the last couple were better. So I'm going to just go ahead and save that. And now what I can do, I can just trim this. Let's trim it to about here. I think that's where I started to get pretty good. And then trim this. I only need a couple of bars. Let's hear what that sounds like. That's probably enough. So let's drag this back to the start. Actually, I want to give a little space there at the beginning, so I have a count in. I want a longer count in. I want twice that. Okay, and now all I have to do is I can just control click and drag this and duplicate it. So let's make 4 bars and hear it back. Okay, so now I have a basic bass line here. So let's go ahead. And what I like to do too, when I'm doing sound fonts like this, let's see, what was that? So that was, I like to make a note here, like what it's actually called in the sound font. So that way, if I ever want to add more, I can remember which one I use. So I'm going to title this CTK, oops, 230 tuba. So that way I'll be able to find it again easily. Okay, so now let's just add another track and record arm this one. Go back to stereo 1 and 2. And now I'm going to select a new sound. So let's go back to that strings that I found earlier. That was cool. Strings 1. Let's hear strings 2. That's cool too. That one's a bit loud. Let's try that. I can use the volume slider on my keyboard to turn it down. I love it when I go to the lower octaves how the sample rate is all not good, but that's what I love that. Okay, so let's hear what this sounds like. And what I could do here, if I want to practice it, I could just highlight this and turn on loop. That one's a bit too slow of an attack for me, so let's find a different one. Go back into channels. What was strings 1 like? Yeah, that one's better. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, I'm going to go with something like that. I think that was good. Save all. Okay. And I'm just going to select the first take there because that one was good. And then I just go to crop to active take, and that'll get rid of that other thing. And I also, don't want to do that. Let's delete that there. Okay. And now we have another part of the loop here. And I want to normalize these. These are both a little bit low. I guess I have my headphone volume up pretty loud or something. So we'll go to, where is it? Item processing, normalize. And that'll bring it up. That's going to be really loud now. So let me turn that down. And I'm also going to do that to my bass. So select all of these. Item processing, normalize. And okay, so let's hear what this sounds like. All right. Okay, let's keep adding. I'm going to create another track, and I'm going to keep this same sound right now. Oh wait, I better tell myself which sound this is. So that's strings 1, CTK 230 strings 1. Record on that one. Okay, and I want to do like some kind of a harmony with this other track. Okay, so it's coming along. Now I'm just going to keep layering. I'm going to keep adding some stuff here. Let's switch over to a different sound now. I don't even know if I'm going to get to the 370. I haven't used this 230 much, so that's why I wanted to mess with this one a bit. So let's just keep working with the 230 here. I love the old Casio sounds. They're some of my favorite things ever. How about this choir sound? Let's see hear what that sounds like. Pretty cool, but let's keep going. Voice O. I know what this one sounds like. Save that for later. I might want to use it. Trumpet. No. Well, actually, trumpet might be the right kind of cheese. That is so cheesy. Piano 2. Oh wait, no, I select the wrong one. Sorry. Synth lead 2. That one's been used in a lot of Casio stuff. I'm sure that came from a one of the Casio CZ line. Some of these synth sounds they did sample from the CZ 3000 and CZ 101 and things like that. Maybe. Let's hear it. Actually, that wasn't bad. Crop to active take. Blah, 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 blah. Where is it? Take. Wow, look at that waveform. It's so, it's got so much DC offset. That's crazy. Okay, so actually I want to make another bass line first before I add anything else to that other one. So I'm kind of hearing something in my head. There we go. Okay. Okay. Select the right take, crop. Now let's normalize that. I don't know if you knew you could do that, but you can just grab the top of the waveform and drag it. Still a little bit too loud. Okay, and then let's go back to my synth lead sound. I like that one. All right, that was good. Let's save that. Do I want to keep using those same sounds? Well, I only had one other one, so let's go ahead and do it. Strings 1. Let's go here to channels again. Select it in here. So that's why it's good to write down the names. Otherwise, I would not have remembered what sound I used. Record enable there. All right, let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, so now I've got two sections of loops here. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull these apart a bit. Oops, no, I don't want to do that. Hold on. Okay, so let's select all of these first. And I'm just going to slide these over here, get them out of the way. And then I'm going to select all of these. Select the first and hold down Shift and select the last. Control, click, and drag. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, but I cut out this little section here because I didn't like the way it sounded with the lead, that harmony there, so I just cut out that tiny little section. So let's hear how long that is. Turn off the click because it's annoying. Okay, so obviously I don't want all of that happening the whole time. So I'm going to get rid of that. And in fact, I'm going to get rid of it here too. And I'm going to create another section. Oh, shoot, I shouldn't have done that yet. Hold on. I'm an idiot. Okay, so let's first, before I delete it, I need to copy it. Put it over here. Now I can get rid of that. And do I want to get rid of one of the strings? Let's see. Yeah, let's bring in that harmony. Let me hear what just the low one sounds like, or just the high one. Okay, what's the other one sound like? So let's keep the high one on the first section. So here I want to get rid of this. And then that. Okay, and now it's, it's kind of going to grow as it goes. So start in the beginning. Okay, so I just heard something in my head there. What I want to do is I'm actually going to make that a little bit longer. Let's move this over some more. And I'm going to do a variation of the lead for the next set because I think it'll be repetitive if you hear that same lead over and over again. So I'm just going to drag this over here. Okay, and then let's get rid of this. And we'll switch back to that channel. Oh, let me make sure I'm saving. Go back to synth lead. Where'd it go? Did I scroll past it? Every time I'm in with my students and I'm trying to find something on a list, they always make fun of me because I always scroll past everything. Synth lead 2, not 1. Okay, so now I need to think of something else. So let's move this loop zone over to here and think of another lead. Okay, was that good enough? Let's see. Okay, yeah, not bad. All right, it could have been tighter, but that's part of the charm, Everything's so quantized and perfect these days. It's kind of good to leave things a little bit off. Move this over here. And let's hear what that transition sounds like. I turn off the loop. Okay, and this obviously needs to be longer, so let's expand this. Wonder how long. Okay, so after that, maybe I'll put in like a little transitional thing. Let me hear what it sounds like. I kind of like that. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Let's cut this little piece out right here. And drag this over here. Oh, wrong thing. Oops. Wrong track. And then let's take this and drag it over here. After that, let's see what that sounds like. Okay, I like it. I like throwing in stuff like that. It'll be a little stop of the drums. Now, see, basically what I have here is I have enough loops to kind of build a structure. And then once I have a structure going, you know, it's already like halfway there. Once I have the structure, then I'll start adding more stuff, like, you know, additional tracks where I can play along through the whole song to make it sound like that it's not all just loops, basically. And then I'm going to add drums. So, yeah, I think that's good for now. And then maybe I'll do a part 2. Yeah, sure, I'll do a part 2. And then on the part 2, what I'll do is show you guys. I'll keep adding to this. I'll have the arrangement. And then I'll add some stuff to the arrangement on part 2 as well as drums. So I'll go over all of that. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I know this is a very long video. But yeah, this is just one way that you could record music in Linux using audio loops, using Qsynth, creating your own audio loops, rather. Yeah, and it's just it's a fun way to work, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.